Welcome to Not the Top 20 podcasts. Welcome to the EFL Play-Offs. Indeed, welcome to EFL Fantasy Play-Offs. This is, in what is, I think, an NTT20 first, some fantasy content, because we've been playing the EFL Fantasy game since its launch at the start of the season. We've been enjoying it. We've been wondering about doing some content around it. That is what we are doing now, because there is a new, fresh game launched for the playoffs, which means if, like me, it took you a while to get going in the regular season and you didn't win many mini leagues, it's time for a fresh slate. It's time for a clean start. And to help us today, we've only got our mate James Allcott with us. James is, as you will, I'm sure, know, a wonderful football talker, a man with a very impressive, quite potent YouTube channel. No, wait, 2 now. Got one of those backup ones that seem all the rage amongst you lot with lots of subscribers. But most importantly for us, big Queen's Park Rangers fan.
Indeed. I am. And we found our rightful home once again. 15th, 16th place at the end of this season. It's incredible. I actually had to go back and look at the last decade. And we did hit the heady heights of 9th a few years ago. But then kind of went for it a little bit and, again, reverted to the mean. That is 15th, but it was all looking a bit scary at one point, so I'm actually kind of relieved again. It's a funny life being a QPR fan.
It's a bit sad for me, having just experienced my club finishing 17th and feeling like it's one of the best things that's ever happened in my whole life, to then hear you talking about 15th with such scorn.
Yeah, well, I mean, go easy on me, George. Because, I mean, do you know what I mean? It's not like I'm like Man City fan going Pep out. Do you know what I mean? There's not that. Like, I'm just sort of, it would be nice to have to flirt with the playoffs in a more realistic fashion. But the recruitment, I think there are some, I don't know, let's say like, there's some ripening that could go on with the QPR squad over hopefully the next couple of years. I think that's the strategy here. And I think with that in mind, you never know. I think, and that's the hope that keeps us going, keeps us coming back. But George, hey, I'm not taking anything away from Oxford.
Thank you.
Sensational stuff.
Having done the double over us as well.
I know, we needed it.
Two of the few games I went to this season, just watching us getting pumped by QPR twice.
Well, I know we're going to talk about, obviously we're going to get into the EFL playoff fantasy situation that we have here, a menage a trois, if you will. But I said to people, like, you've got to get to 52 points. Jerry Francis said it very simply a long time ago. He said, you have to get to 52 points. And everyone was doing the, like, oh, QPR, you're fine. No, you've got to get to 52 points. Now, you didn't have to get to 52 points, but you kind of did have to get to 52 points down there. And that, again, just goes back to the fact that, like, one, the EFL is just class, isn't it? But
Yes.
Obviously my focus most years is the Championship. And every year it's up and down. You know, where you start and where you finish is just never the same. And I'm so excited to talk to you guys about this. This is a bit of a reconnaissance mission for me. So for everyone listening, I'm literally taking over as we speak right now. This is my segue into it. Okay, ready? Normally this is your world, Ali. I'm going to take over for a second, but don't worry. It's an absolute promise that George and Ali will be doing the bulk of the talking. But I'm on a reconnaissance mission because the playoffs is essentially, quite literally, a mini tournament that you get to enjoy. New heroes arrive, and I absolutely love it every single time. And so us three, we are going to put together a mini league in the Fantasy EFL Play-Offs game, and these are the rules, the crucial rules that we would like you guys to undertake and get involved when it comes to this game. There will be a link somewhere that Ali will probably let you know where it is. But there's going to be 3 game weeks, so it's really quick fire this. So if you love the playoffs, you're going to be watching them anyway. Why not have some skin in the game? Get involved. You've got game week 1, which is the semi-final first legs. Game week 2, which is the semi-final second legs. And then, of course, game week 3, which will be the finals. And in terms of picking players, 7 players are picked. 2 clubs are picked for each game week as well. And when it comes to how many players you can pick, there are no prices or budgets in Fantasy EFL playoffs. But you can only have 2 from each club. And when it gets to the final game week 3, you'll be allowed 4. There's also no fixed deadline, which I think is great as well. But your players need to be locked in by the time the match starts in the semi-finals for each game. So what we're going to do today is you guys are going to let me know who the runners and riders are in the different positions. We're going to build a team. And then at the end of it, we're going to actually reveal our teams. Mm-hmm. And I am actually I've got my team, but I'm in the market for a midfielder. But we'll get there. So I literally have my team right in front of me right now. I haven't settled on it just yet. But George, there's some prizes here as well, which is pretty cool.
Yes, there are. Leading scorer in the overall playoff game gets a 1-year now subscription pass and 2 hospitality tickets to a match of choice on the opening weekend of the next season, the 25-26 season, and a home and an away shirt for 25-26 of your team of choice. You're getting a 1-year now subscription pass, 2 tickets, and 2 shirts if you are the leading scorer in the overall game. And if you're in the leading scorer of each game week, in game week 1 and game week 2, so those are the semi-finals, you get general admission tickets to the opening fixture of choice next season and a 3-month now subscription pass. And for finals, game week 3, 2 hospitality tickets to an opening day EFL fixture of choice in the 25-26 season, 3-month now subscription sports pass, and a home shirt, not an away shirt, of choice too. So yeah, loads of reasons to play beyond just the fun. If you do nail it, then you will win loads, shirts, now subscription passes, and tickets.
Take away that Z, put in the letter D, and forget the prize, although the prizes are very good, so don't forget them. Pride. The pride of winning the JLA/NTT20 League. That is the big one here. It's going to be quick fire. It's going to be outrageously fun, so do get involved. Right then, Ali, you are experienced in the game, so talk to me about formations. What sort of formation do you think we should be putting forward here?
Well, logic would dictate. Would logic dictate? I think almost everything would dictate that a fancy team with more attackers than defenders would be a good thing. But one of the things I've really enjoyed about EFL Fantasy this season is like it is different to other fantasy games and some of the ones that people will play that exist elsewhere. And I must admit, because it was different, when I first saw it announced and the format as it is, I wasn't sure whether I would love it or not. And thankfully I really have. No budgets is great for the EFL. It makes complete sense. There are so many players across the 3 leagues. It's really important that the 3 leagues are represented. The fact that there's no budget, I think, allows for both more recreational EFL fans to pick the biggest names, and also the massive nerds like me and most people listening who want to be the ones that go, well, actually, I had Harrogate's left back who was selected by 0.1% of total population because he got an assist and a goal and 20 points, and I am a legend. So people who listen know I am competitive and I'm a massive EFL nerd. It's a great combo for EFL Fantasy. And it leads me to saying that I think the best formation for points is probably 3-2-1. One of the features of the game, because of the scoring system, which you can find on the website, all of the scoring rules, is that big, beefy, meaty centre-backs score a lot of fantasy points. And that's quite fun, because normally in other games it's as simple as like who's going to score, who might get an assist, who might get a clean sheet. There's more at play with EFL Fantasy. Well, having said all that, because we want a really good spread of players for our joint team, I think we should select a 2-2-2 formation. 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, 2 attackers. And of course we need a keeper as well, Jim. And because it's the playoffs, and there's 12 teams in the playoffs, there's only really 12 potential options, which is quite fun. And I think there's some interesting names in here, and I'd be interested, if I chat through them, what feels best in your gut when I tell you that, you know, you've got Cooper of Sheffield United, who behind James Trafford, the best goalkeeper in the Championship this season, actually got the most points of any goalkeeper in EFL Fantasy in the regular season. Second most points was Owen Goodman. He's Wimbledon's goalkeeper, joint most clean sheets in League Two. Third most points from a goalkeeper, Josh Keeley, Leyton Orient on loan from Tottenham, a keeper with a big, big future. But obviously Max O'Leary of Bristol City, they're up against Sheffield United in what looks a tough tie for them. Patterson of Sunderland, Coventry have got a bit of a question mark, probably one to avoid goalkeeper-wise, as Brad Collins was in poor form, was dropped for Wilson on final day. League One, you've got like Will Norris of Wickham, won the league with Portsmouth last year, was signed in January, straight in nets for Wickham. Corey Adai of Stockport is a real pod favourite. In League Two, we expect pretty low scoring affairs generally in playoffs, so it's important to pick the right keeper. Alex Bass of Notts has had a really good season. Tommy Simpkin is an England youth player on loan from Stoke at Walsall, and Ryan Boot is one of my favourite names of any League Two goalkeeper. You can't be a short passing goalkeeper with the name Ryan Boot.
Amazing. Well, do you know what? I'm going to show my hand here early doors. This is of our joint team. This is the only one I'm going to really pick. Don't worry. The guys after this have got a pick each as we go with a 2-2-2 formation to give that spread. I'm going to go with Owen Goodman. As I said, I've been doing my research, and I think 21 clean sheets. 35 goals, which was the least by away when it came to Wimbledon in the playoffs. So my feeling is that if you're looking for a strong defence and someone who's going to get points for you, I feel like Goodman's a good man. Full stop.
He's a great man.
Yeah. So that's the only pick I'll be revealing. But yeah, I think I'd like to go with Goodman if I can.
I started off with a line on the nominative determinism of Ryan Boot, and you've just chucked one back with the nominative determinism of good man.
This is what this collab's going to be.
Can you imagine, by the way, the absolute scenes if we win our own JLA times NTT20 mini league? It would be huge for us and our reputation.
I think there'll be a lot of disdain, though. That's the problem.
Only two tickets for winning, so one of us will have to miss out.
Oh no! Oh dear!
I'll source my own.
All right, okay. Class act. For both of us, we just kept quiet there, George, didn't we?
Yeah.
I'd like my ticket, if that's all right. Right, let's move into the defenders then. Ali, what's important when it comes to the defenders?
Clearances. And I'll tell you why. Because as part of the Fantasy EFL scoring system, a defender, or anyone for that matter, but specifically defenders, get a point for every 3 clearances. And one thing that's a feature of EFL football often is a lot of balls into the box, a lot of back lines being tested, and a lot of big, beefy, meaty men clearing their lines. And so you get a point for every 3 clearances, every 2 blocks, and every 2 tackles. And what we've seen is that has led to some ginormous scores being racked up this season from centre-backs. Macaulay Gillespie, out of all defenders in the playoffs, is miles clear in terms of total points this season, 60 more than his teammate Lloyd Jones, who's the next best. Unsurprisingly, as we record, he's been selected by 65% of all teams currently signed up to play Fantasy EFL Play-Offs. So you've got Macaulay in there, and although I've made a big deal out of being the niche nerd, I want Macaulay Gillespie in my team, but I think there's more interesting picks to be made here. I think Sonny Bradley is a really interesting pick because he plays for Wickham. He's very experienced
beefy
EFL centre-back. He's beefy, he's got some great tattoos, and he loves headers. And Wickham are playing against Charlton, and even though that's a really tough tie for them, I think the way that Charlton play, in particular playing a lot of long passes forward, getting the ball forward quickly and putting pressure on the opposition back line aerially, Bradley should be winning so many headers, so many clearances, making blocks, and I think that could lead to quite a big points tally. Now, because he only came into the team quite late in the season, he doesn't have a very big total point score this season, and I think that makes him fly a little under the radar. So for our joint team, I'd like to put forward Sonny Bradley, but I just want to flag up as well something to think about for the listeners building their teams. If your defender scores, they get +7 for a goal. It's +6 for a midfielder. It's +5 for a forward. So if you can hit the jackpot with a goal-scoring defender, you can do really well from that. And it's often the case that you get versatile players like George Abbott of Notts County, who can and has played as a defender in his youth career with Spurs. But for Notts on loan, he's been playing in midfield. And therefore, I think we've got a bit of a value play here if you want to go for George Abbott, because he's a defender on the game, but he's scored 5 goals this season. I think he's had 10 shots in the last 4 regular season games. And you could be getting +7 if he scores a goal. So for me, you've got your big name in Macaulay Gillespie. You've got your Sonny Bradley, who's probably going to be winning a lot of headers and making a lot of blocks and clearances. And then you've got a little wild card of George Abbott, who I think could score and hit the jackpot for us.
Okay. George, what do you bring to the table here?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I mean, one bit of advice I would give to users of the game is, as Ali said, Macaulay Gillespie way clear in terms of total points tally. But if you click filters and you click display stat and you change it to average points, then you will see a much more pertinent statistic, which is the average that they score by week in, week out. And therefore players like Bradley, who, as you mentioned, has been in and out of the side, score quite high. But Lloyd Jones...
say that's the XG of the EFL fantasy world compared to just goals scored, for example?
No, I think it's just goals per 90, basically.
Scratch the surface.
I think XG, they haven't invented Fantasy Football XG yet. Benham and Bloom are working on it as we speak. But yeah, I think in Lloyd Jones is one who Gillespie averages 7.8 average points per game week, as does his teammate Lloyd Jones. Jones, I looked at, but he was seemingly out of the game against Burton on final day. I'm a bit concerned as to why. But when you see the discrepancy in terms of selection, 65.2 of selected Gillespie and only 14.9 of selected Jones, it's worth keeping an eye on the team when it comes out ahead of that game, because if he is in, then you're probably going to have a massive value play there choosing Jones over Gillespie. But the one that I want to pick out here, well, I'll pick out two because you picked out three, is Ash Palmer, who has been injured basically all season for Chesterfield, came back into the side in early March, has come into the side at a period where their form has massively improved. He is a big, beefy defender who averages 6.7 average points, which is third in the whole of the playoffs behind Gillespie and Jones. He's a goal threat from set pieces. He's already scored 2 goals from set pieces since he's been back into the side. He's only played 13 games. 2 assists as well, again from set pieces. So he's someone that we can expect to get into the box. They host Walsall. Walsall, the side who squandered the 12-point lead at the top of the table, who thought they were promoted until a last-minute goal for Bradford meant that they weren't. I think it would be no surprise if we see Walsall really struggle to bounce back after that. And given Chesterfield's form, especially at home, if they could keep a clean sheet and score a few goals, I think we'll see Palmer get in amongst the scoring. And then Arnold Amatovicic is my second one of Sheffield United, who travelled to Bristol City. Again, a player who's just a massive goal threat, consistently from set pieces. He will always be up there, and he's one who... given Bristol City's struggles from an attacking perspective, I think a clean sheet is a big runner. He averages 5.5 per game week generally, but I think given the tie that they've got at hand, he could well get a few points. So Palmer would be my strongest choice, but I do think siding with Blades defenders might be quite a smart way to go, especially because I'm assuming that quite a lot of players will prioritise home teams for game week 1.
Okay. I've got a couple of extra names here. Look at with Palmer. Look to your left for a bit of extra beef. Carl McFadzean. I saw Carl McFadzean. I thought certain players just they're big playoff players. I feel like McFadzean's a really good shout from that point of view. Another one, Ryan Johnson. When we're carrying on that clean sheet road, he's been great for FC Wimbledon. And Fraser Horsfall at Stockport. I remember a couple of seasons ago for Northampton. I was doing League of 72, and he just scored so many goals. And for Stockport, obviously had a really good season as well. There's another name as well to chuck out there. But obviously, you guys know your onions. So who's your final pick then, Ali? Just to get it in.
I love Carl McFadzean. I'm so glad you brought him up. The thing I like most about Carl McFadzean is he made his debut for Sheffield United in a League Cup in September 2005. That is 4 months shy of 20 years ago. And what I love even more is that he then had to drop down to Alfreton in the Conference North to start his career. He played 4 full seasons as a Conference North conference player with Alfreton and Crawley, and then started an EFL career that has lasted 15 seasons. It's an iconic career, and it would be awesome to see him win another promotion. I know there'll be lots of Cov City fans who are kind of cheering on Chesterfield in the League Two playoffs. I'm going to put Sonny Bradley forward. It fits, I think, and it's in a nice Venn diagram for me where he's currently 0.4% selected, and I really want to look smart with a kind of outside pick that most people don't have. But I really believe that this is he is the type of defender that racks up points in EFL Fantasy, and I think it'll be good for our team.
Yeah, you can see those kind of players on a balmy night, just sort of smashing in a header. George, who's your pick?
Yeah, Ash Palmer for me, quite 0.4, but still only 3.8% selected. And yes, I think of all of these game 1 week ties, getting with Chesterfield players, if Walsall do struggle to bounce back from that disappointment, they could run riot.
Okay. Midfielders, again, interesting scoring for midfielders. Ali, reveal more, please.
Yeah, I really like this, specifically about the formatting and the scoring of the EFL Fantasy game compared to others, is that, of course, goals and assists are important, and that is the case for midfielders. If you're the sort of midfielder that racks up a lot of goal contributions, no surprise you're going to get a lot of fantasy points. But there's also a room for a ball winner. And Jim, I've played football with you, and I know that you are... I think you're a ball player as much as you're a ball winner, but I know that you are a Dennis Wise, if you like.
How dare you?
You like to sit in midfield and make tackles and nip at ankles.
Yeah.
And I think that should be celebrated because it is as important as those, the guys who get the goals from midfield generally are able to do so because of what's behind them. So, like in the regular season, in midfielders, you've got Casper Denore of Millwall right up there for points. You've got Shay Charles of Sheffield Wednesday, Connor Coventry of Charlton, Bryn Morris down in League Two, guys who aren't all about scoring, but who are able to rack up points because they do so much other stuff as well, and that gets rewarded in this game, unlike certain others which have a more basic points system. So I think that's what's really nice about the midfield in particular. I have, even so, gone for a big goal contributions guy, and someone who I think is heading into the Championship playoffs with potential star energy, which I like, and that is Jack Rodon of Coventry City. They're playing against Sunderland in the semi-finals. Rodon has been one of, if not the signing of the Championship season. I suppose Al Tanaka might have something to say with that, but the way that he has stepped up, having his career going from Wimbledon to Huddersfield, but always playing for struggling teams in League One and then in the Championship. How does a player like that step up, and how do they perform in a team that's a top 6 team? Well, it turns out they look pretty good. Loads of assists, loads of goals as well. Scores headed goals, scores Lampard-esque goals, and something that he's worked on really closely with Lampard, who was basically his hero growing up. I fancy Coventry to, Sunderland come into the playoffs in really poor form, and I'm not sure, as I said on our preview, that they can just turn the taps back on. And I think if Coventry do score a couple of goals across the two legs, I'd be surprised if Rodoni's not involved with goals and assists there. So I want Rodoni in my team. And then down in League Two, I watched Wimbledon play Notts County 2 months ago. They dominated them. They won 2-0. And a goal from midfield from Ali Smith. He's a great player for fantasy points because he's got those long legs. He wins a lot of tackles, interceptions, breaks up play. He's physically very strong. But he's also a sneaky goal threat as well, and he always kind of has been. And he gets forward. He can get powerful shots off from the edge of the box. And I think in terms of potential goal contributions, but also maybe getting some points for some other stuff, Ali Smith of Wimbledon against Notts is an interesting one for me.
Okay. Rodoni, I think, is undeniable at the moment, isn't it?
69% though.
Really? Is that what it is? See, that's the problem, isn't it?
Doesn't feel very NTT20, that, does it?
No.
Yeah. But there's you can this is the
Erling
thing.
Haaland of EFL Playoff Fantasy Football.
Number 5 on his back as well. I like that energy.
Do you like that? What do you think? Because that's...
broadly, I disagree with it, if I'm totally honest. But I think, look, if you deliver, then you're Jude Bellingham, and that's fine. And so... same with Rodoni, who's
Zinedine Zidane, Jude Bellingham, Jack Rodoni.
That's it. Yeah, well, he's kind of. I know that I was watching some of Coventry's goals, and sort of they are, and looking into their numbers. Coventry are I've got the sixth best form in the last 6 games, which is the best by quite some way of all the Championship teams. In terms of flooding the box, they've got a lot of guys who flood the box, and then Rodoni's just he sort of arrives late. To your point that you've been making, Ali, about the Lampard element with it all. And so those other players who are sort of pushing into that 6-yard box and him just being sort of stood there waiting for it against the Sunderland team that is bottom of the form table, it is a recipe for points. So you can understand why everyone's gone for that, right, George?
George thinks it's too obvious, and
obvious,
and annoyingly, I can't disagree.
Well, it's not only too obvious, it's just in order to win this game, you're going to do it by finding players that people don't necessarily have who score well, I think. And you're probably better off not having Rodoni and him getting 2 points, and therefore you kind of make points in that way. The guys who I'm looking at, I mean, I think the Stockport game at Orient is interesting, and I was kind of toying between two. I went back and forth. Like Ethan Galbraith is one who should be a perfect player for this. Someone who a lot of goal involvements, really active out of possession. So he picks up points for assists, he picks up points for goals, but also the interceptions side of things. But he's been playing right back and right wing back recently, and generally fullbacks don't score particularly well in this. And so I've gone for his opponent here in Ollie Norwood, who is perfect for this. He's someone who is the key creator for Stockport in the middle of the park. Key passes galore, assists galore, but also that man sitting in front of the defensive line, breaking up play in order to get Stockport started with their attacks. And given his profile, I would have thought he'd be higher selected than he is, 13%. So still relatively high, but not high enough to put me off. And then Tom Naylor, my second one, kind of similar in some ways. He falls into the category of Chesterfield players, and I want to get with Chesterfield, as I said, in this game at home against Walsall. He is someone who has played centre-back quite a lot this season, but is now very much playing as a central midfield player and is regularly racking up decent scores. He got 14 points in their last home game at home to Morecambe, where he scored 1 goal, which is 6 points, 3 interceptions, which was 6 points. Consistently plays 90 minutes, which is big as well. He looks like a rock-solid option for a player who'll play the full game and should be able to pick up points in every facet possible. So a couple of old-timers for me in Tom Naylor and Ollie Norwood.
Choose a name I saw, John Fleck at Chesterfield as well. I thought that was amazing.
He was playing in Chris Basham's testimonial last night, and then he's playing in the playoffs a couple of days later.
That's amazing. Ollie Norwood, I did sort of jump out at me as well. Like, the penalties as well. Like, you think of this, a game against Leyton Orient, both teams in really good form. I was looking at sort of like fast breaks and things like that, and both those teams love that. So with that in mind, you wonder if a bit of kamikaze defending, and it's one way you got a penalty there for Norwood, or some decent free kicks as well. So an interesting shout there. To zone in then, Ali, who are you going to go for?
I'm going to go with Ali Smith, because we want those differentials, don't we? We love Jack Rodon. We love his squad number. We love what he might do for Coventry against Sunderland, but we're going to try and zag where others might zig. And I think
we're zagging a lot here, guys.
I think that looks like the long limbs of Ali Smith of Wimbledon.
Okay. George, who do you want to go for?
Tom Naylor, I think, albeit it means that we are going double Chesterfield. I think that is a good call. I'm putting my eggs in the Chesterfield basket.
George, this is where we need to have a discussion, because I think you can only have 2 players from one side.
Don't. He's not on fire, mate. Don't.
We'll have to come to it. We'll have to discuss it. Let's get into the striker situation, which is the juiciest part. So I'm excited about this one. Ali, do you want to kick us off with the sort of scoring? Is it as simple as you like, or is there a nuance here?
Yeah, I've said how I've enjoyed some of the scoring of the EFL Fantasy game, and how I think it makes it more interesting in some ways, particularly when it comes to defenders and midfielders, where it's not just about goals and assists. However, you look at the most points racked up in the regular season when it comes to strikers, and it's not rocket science. The top fantasy scorers are the top scorers in the 3 leagues. So Kelman, the most points of all, Joel Perreault in second, the Championship Golden Boot winner, and Michael Cheek as well, who was top scorer in League 2. So for me, while I do love to overthink things and second guess and scratch surfaces, for me, the question is simple here. Who is going to score the most goals in the playoff semi-final first leg? And for me, it is Will Grigg of Chesterfield. As discussed, I think Chesterfield come into this game in really good form, even if you broadly ignore Walsall and their collapse, which has been the kind of main story in League 2 over the last few years. It's just a really good Chesterfield team who've peaked at a good time, who got players back from injury, one of which is Will Grigg, and who have a really good team, of which Grigg is the focal point. They have loads of attacking wide players who get on the ball, get to the byline, and put cutbacks in for him, and that's what he thrives off. He's always thrived off that. He's always scored goals when he's in a team that plays to his strengths. And this season, he has missed quite a lot of game time, but in terms of goals per 90 in League 2, he's not far off the top. He's scored in the last 3 regular season games, and I'm confident that Grigg is going to get opportunities in this playoff semi-final first leg. He scored 25 goals last season for them. It's 12 this season from only 31 shots. His goal conversion rate is very high because he's an excellent finisher. And I think if excellent finishers get 3 chances to score in a game, you're looking at 1 goal for sure, maybe even 2, and that'd be a lovely return for us.
So highly flammable is what you're saying. Yeah. Have you already done that joke in the last pod?
No, we try and avoid obvious ones like that, James.
I think I already said he's not on fire on this pod.
Well,
Good
yeah,
you're listening.
look, everyone else wanted it to be heard. Okay, so it's done. Okay, so that's one option. But as you say, we've got a problem here because we're heavy in the Chesterfield camp here.
Yeah.
So George, help us here.
Well, I mean, we need 2 strikers. I mean, my concern with that would just be that Walsall, even in their poorest runs of form, are still relatively solid defensively and don't give too much away. And also the players that score against them don't tend to be those kind of penalty box strikers because they defend their box so well.
Who's the shambles defensive team in the playoffs then, George? Who's going to concede loads of goals?
Oh, don't do that, mate. No, I think the Sunderland off the back of this really poor run, having watched them go to Oxford and look incredibly poor, having seen them host QPR on final day and again really struggle. Like Coventry's home form is so strong. They seem the obvious one to me. Like if you look at their recent results, Coventry have lost 2 home games since the middle of November, and those have been against Leeds and Burnley. They've racked up scorelines. They put 2 past Borough, 2 past West Brom, 3 past Sunderland on just 6 weeks ago, 3 past Stoke. Like they seem to me the team that could easily rack up a big first leg lead, especially if Sunderland don't improve from their recent performances. So it's Sims all right, really, and for me, Wright is the one who is a level above when he's at it. Yes, he'll play off the left, but he's still their biggest goal threat. He scored a hat-trick recently, which got 24 points. He is just consistently getting shots off and getting into good areas. And I think, I mean, I can see why Rodon is highly picked at 69%, but how he's 69% and Haji Wright is 4.4% makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
I think the great thing about that hat-trick as well is the sort of range of goals that you're getting from him. Like there's tap-ins, there's like the little dink one, which is lovely as well. Like, he's always sort of knocking about. I tell you what, the more time I'm on the app, I keep looking at Ellis Sims. I can't, I'm sort of, there's...
Let's have 2 top strikers.
Have you had any feel like names as you're working up and down it? That there's no outrageous rhyme and reason. I know Sims is a great striker, but is there anyone like that sort of keeps, like, you keep seeing their name?
I think Ahmed Hodzic was my one where, like, when I was talking about the reason behind it, it's like, well, he's just so good, I want him in, you know. It's not a case of, like, I think he's going to have 5 clearances. And he's just, you know, it's those kind of big name players, Sims, Ahmed Hodzic. Like, even Norwood was one where, like, you can't really ignore him in a League One playoff race, given his quality.
Mine was Will Grigg, and that's why I think we really need him in this team. Okay. And look, I think George made a great case for Ollie Norwood, and you know it's worth pointing out you get a point for every 2 key passes. And with Norwood, who's such a sprayer, who takes great set pieces as well, like that's a really nice way for him to keep ticking up. You get points for interceptions as well.
How many Stockport players have we got?
We don't have any Stockport players.
Great. Okay. So you win, mate. You win.
I don't see it like that, George.
It's so nice, isn't it?
The final nail in my coffin.
Having to put Norwood in over Tom Naylor.
Can I chuck some other names out there quickly?
Please.
So we've got Jamil Matt at Walsall, just to kind of get it out of the way, because I know we don't seem to like Walsall here.
Didn't start on final day. So that's a concern.
Right, interesting. Okay. Stevens at Wimbledon scored goals at the level for many a year. Well, a good few years. Jatta and McGoldrick as well, Notts County.
All good names.
Okay, and then final 2 is probably my top 2, which I'm amazed that it's not been brought up yet. What about Charlie Kelman? And what about Godden at Charlton? I thought on the final, like, in terms of sort of going into the playoffs in good form, they were proper striker goals in that last game. And he's been there and done it as well.
Yeah, I had Godden in my first lineup. I think he feels like one for game week 2 to me when Charlton are playing at home. Even though Wickham's defensive work has been so poor recently, I do just worry with teams going away from home, strikers in particular. Like, is it going to be a case where they just look to stay in the tie and then kind of turn the screw next time? Which is why, you know, with Chesterfield and Grigg and Wright and Coventry, the onus is massively on them to take up the scoring mantle and push themselves ahead in the tie.
And Charlie Kelman, Ali, I mean, you know, he's been absolutely on fire. This isn't a sort of QPR agenda here. Like, do you feel like the playoffs do you feel like he won't be able to kind of rise to that, or not? Just maybe because of an age thing when it comes to the playoffs. I find myself kind of leaning towards experience in these big games.
Yeah, it's something that I've only realised as we've been doing the show. Is like we've talked about Will Grigg, Albert Adoma, Carl McFadden, Ollie Norwood. They're like we are. Just like managers do, I think sometimes, this is the crunch end of the season, and we're leading towards experience because it makes you feel a little bit safer, doesn't it? But why can't someone playing in their first playoffs turn it on? Kelman's the confidence that he's playing with at the moment is unbelievable. He's got Donnelly on loan from Spurs, the Orient player, who's just exceptional. He's got such a good understanding with him. Galbraith finds him with long diagonals as well. Ajay has come into the team and has taken a bit less of the defensive focus on him. So I'm just personally quite pro Stockport, and so I don't necessarily see it a game where I expect Orient to have loads and loads of chances. They will mostly be on the break, I think, even though they're the home team. And there's definitely an argument that plays in their favour. If you want to shove Kelman in that team, QPR agenda or otherwise, Jim, I'm not angry with it as long as you replace George's striker rather than William Grigg.
Okay, right. Let's. Well, here we go. So we've got to pick two. Will you budge? Is there any way of budging George here? Because I think Ali feels quite strongly about Will Grigg.
On Hadji, see, you're going to get rid of my Naylor and you're going to get rid of my Hadji.
Get rid of your Naylor. We're putting your other selection in midfield in there.
Yeah, everyone wants Norwood, don't we?
Yeah, there would be an insertion of Norwood.
So, you want to take out? You want to take out right for Kelman? You want to boost the QPR assets, standing and reputation? Yeah, it's fine, mate. Don't worry about it. It's good.
No, I'm not. Look, this is a team thing. I'm saying, is anyone willing to concede here? How do we solve this?
I'm not sure if you've met either George or I, but it doesn't feel like it if you're asking that question.
Take Wright out, and then he's not in our team, and then when he scores a hat-trick, my team will go above our team. Perfect. Job done.
Okay, so with that in mind, with the desire to get to some kind of conclusion at some point, we've got Will Grigg in, yeah?
Yep. God, this is going to be iconic when he's
Naylor out?
No.
Ollie Norwood in?
Yeah.
Yeah, Naylor out, Norwood in.
Okay. I'm happy to go with right.
Okay, let's do it. Let's keep Hadji.
Okay. Right. Quite literally. We have got our team, but of course you have to pick two teams as well. Who are the two teams that you're going to pick? And then we're going to reveal our individual teams nice and quickly.
You know what? Me and George have the same two teams that we've selected for our individual teams. So I think it would make sense for them to be our teams as well in here. One of them is Chesterfield for reasons already discussed. I really want to focus on them more so than Walsall's spiral down from the top of the table into the playoff places. Chesterfield are really good. I think there'll be people who will watch that game who might not have seen them play this season, who will see a properly good attacking technical League Two team that doesn't pass for the sake of it, that keeps the ball, that gets it into good areas and then has the right players in attacking areas to turn that possession into potent attacks. I'm really confident that they're flying into this game on a high. And I think it's worth remembering that if you pick an away team, you get more points for an away win than you do for a home win. So I think it's always worth trying to consider an away win. You obviously there's a risk with that, but you get the reward. But I'm going to go for what I consider to be the home banker of Chesterfield.
Okay. And what's the second pick, George? If you both
I think it's prudent to have one home team, one away team here to try and nail the away win too. And there's no denying that Sheffield United have to be the most likely away team to win their tie across these game week 1 games. Bristol City are a good side. They're not in great form coming into this though, and you just have to think the Blades' quality and the depth that they've got, and the fact that they missed out on automatic promotion relatively early, so they shouldn't have that Walsall style kind of hangover off the back of final day too. Sheffield United's record in the playoffs are absolutely horrendous. Never got promoted out of the playoffs before in 8 attempts. That's not enough to put me off. I don't think it really makes a difference here, and I fancy them to go to Ashton Gate and get a result.
Okay, interestingly, so in my team, the two teams I've gone for are Sheffield United and Chesterfield as well. So it's a clean sweep there. So they're finally aligned. So to finish off, let's put forward our final teams. There's been lots of debate, and we have our collab team, but individually, probably more important, really, I would imagine, for some of you, for both of you.
Yeah, it's definitely
our own, let's be honest. It's been a bit of fun. We've had a great chat, but let's be honest. I'd like to win this. Okay, so I'll go first because there's some randoms in here. That sounds bad. Not randoms. There's some players that we haven't spoken about. You know what I'm saying, guys? Okay, so I've gone 4 in goal. Owen Goodman, who I told you about right at the start. I've then gone for Gillespie from Charlton and Ahmed Hodzic from Sheffield United, which I didn't know we were going to talk about. I've gone with the masses here. The Haaland, the Zidane, the Bellingham of the EFL. Jack Rodoni makes it into my team. Alongside probably my first pick, which is Oliver Norwood. I think he will be, or Ollie Norwood, of course. I think there'll be a penalty at some point. Here's a rogue one up top, because I've gone for a 2-2-2. Daniel Adji.
Nice.
Yeah.
For Leyton Orient against Stockport, which I know is going to be difficult, but I just think it could be. I think that could be one of the best semi-finals. I'm excited to watch that one. And Adji is looking really, really good. I was running through all the goals that they've scored, and he's so involved all the time, but a bit under the radar. And then I've gone for Matt Godden for Charlton Athletic up top. Again, slightly rogue. That is my team that is going to win the mini league. Ali, what's your team?
You've got Goodman and Godden in there, and I like it. I've got Corey Adai in nets, the Stockport keeper, mainly, if I'm honest, because he's a pod favourite. He's a playoff icon after some super performances for Crawley last season. And his narrative this season's been really interesting for Stockport, where he started the season having joined in the summer. He got dropped for Ben Hinchliffe, who's a veteran of Stockport, who's seen off many challenges for the Gloves. Hinchliffe took charge, looked pretty good, then got injured, Adai back in, and he stepped up. He looks much better in the last few weeks, and he's capable of some astounding saves. He's so tall and agile. I've got a back three of Sonny Bradley, George Abbott, and Macaulay Gillespie. I spoke about the reasons for that earlier on, but I'm playing 3 defenders. I think that's the smart play, I think, even if it doesn't make me feel very exciting. I've got Jack Rodoni with his big star energy in midfield, with Ali Smith of Wimbledon, the box crasher extraordinaire, who I think might go close or score, I hope, for Wimbledon against Notts, and William of Grigg of Chesterfield, with Chesterfield and Sheffield United, my 2 team selections as well. God, I'd love to be leading after round 1, after game week 1.
And get that 3-month Now TV subscription, amongst other things. In goal, I've got Mike Cooper. Bristol City have a lot of players that shoot, including Scott Twine and Anis Mehmeti and Max Bird and Jason Knight and Naki Wells. But in particular, Twine and Mehmeti love to shoot from range, and Cooper makes a lot of saves and keeps a lot of clean sheets. Gillespie I've got there now, but Jones will come in if he's in the starting lineup ahead of that one. Ahmed Hodzic and Ash Palmer are my 3 defenders, 3-2-1 as well. Naylor and Norwood in midfield as discussed, and Hadji right up front. We've also forgotten to mention captains, because your captain gets double points, and Ash Palmer of Chesterfield, big beefy Ash, in that game against Walsall is my captain. Who are your guys' captains?
Oh,
mine is Sonny Bradley of Wickham, as discussed earlier. I want him as my leader of the team. I think he's going to come under a real aerial bombardment from Charlton, but he can handle himself. He takes the armband for me, because someone like him can rack up big points in this game.
I'm going to go... I can't get away from Godden. I know it's away from home.
You found Godden.
I found Godden in an EFL place, and here he is. So he's going to be my captain. I think Rodoni is going to be my vice captain. What are you saying, George?
Yeah, Palmer captain.
Oh, you
Cooper
did say.
vice captain.
My bad.
Yeah, I said Cooper my vice. So there you go.
Okay.
Important if Palmer suddenly gets another bad injury.
Well, we picked the perfect man to sort of act as the referee in the boxing ring there, for what's been very enjoyable first attempt from us about Fantasy EFL content. It's really fun to be able to talk about players in a slightly different way, and kind of preview these playoffs in a slightly different way to how we've already done it. So thank you, James. You're a good man, just like your goalkeeper, just like our goalkeeper in our joint team, which has Owen Goodman of Wimbledon, has Ash Palmer of Chesterfield, and Sonny Bradley of Wickham. It has Ali Smith of Wimbledon, Ollie Norwood. Ollie and Ali in midfield. Norwood plays for Stockport, of course. Grigg of Chesterfield, Wright of Coventry. Sheffield United and Chesterfield are team picks. Sign up if you're listening. I think you probably already have, as we've been talking, if not before. But do sign up to Fantasy EFL Play-Offs. As you can tell, we've had a real blast putting together our joint team, our individual teams. There's so many options. There's so many good players that we won't have even mentioned here. So sign up and take us on. Join our mini league. You can either click the link in the show notes. I'll also paste the league code. We will be tweeting the link, so keep an eye on James's socials and ours as well. You can even just on the app search for the name of the league, which is JLAXNTT20. Join our mini league. Let's see who wins the glory. Obviously, if you do well enough that you challenge the top places in the overall global league, you could be in for some really quite nice prizes. And we will be back ahead of the playoff finals, aka game week 3 of EFL Fantasy Playoffs. And Jim, I think there's going to be some smugness. There might have to be some humble pie eating.
Yeah, true.
Who can say which way it'll go?
Yeah, look, it's gonna be ugly, and I think everyone likes to watch a car crash. So head over to my channel to see me being either smug or more likely fearful as we preview all of the EFL playoffs, playoff finals in particular, and game week 3. Thank you, mate. I really, really appreciate coming on and just listening to you guys as I do every single week. And do you know what, I might just quickly say that on behalf of all of your fans, of I am one of, thank you for your content this season. It's been absolutely sensational. Fortunately, I get to host you in the final aspect of it, which is going to be great.
That's a bit nice, isn't it, George?
I know. I'm not talking because I'm about to cry. No, thank you very much, mate. It's very kind of you. The only other time we've ever collaborated before was at 1 a.m. in a square in Dortmund, and this felt just as fun.
Yeah. Hopefully this one ends in the exact same spot.
Come on. Really excited about this. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks for watching. If you've done so on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and or rate the podcast feed 5 stars wherever you get it. Thanks very much, and go well.